Welcome back everyone. Today we are starting our matches with Mega Gardevoir EX, and this is the free deck that you get just by achieving tier 50 in the battle pass, and let's take a look at it. So the first thing you'll notice is that most everything in here is very familiar, so we'll just kind of go in order here. Drifloon is back if it ever left. The reason being, Balloon Blast for 2 psychic energy does 30 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, which is insane because if you attach a tool that increases its health and you put 100 HP worth of damage on here, he's hitting for 300. So absolutely nuts. Screamtail does a similar function. It's slightly sturdier, Roaring Scream, the difference being that it does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each damage counter on it, and you can pick who it is. So if you're using Drifloon, it's just against whatever's in the opponent's active spot. If you're using Screamtail, you can hit anything that either active or on the bench, so really good for sniping down and being strategic about your knockouts. Munkidori, again, this was the most used card in Worlds this past year. It just slots in so many ways and creates so many different strategies. You can get knockouts without using your attack. Really great for setting up a multiple prize card turn. And before we do that one, let's look at, let's go back here. So we do have the new version of Ralts. Its collect lets you draw a card, which is more helpful than the other Ralts that we've had. And then we've also got the new version of Kirlia, which is not as good as the Kirlia that rotated out, but call sign, search for up to 3 Pokemon, reveal them, put them into your hand for a single psychic energy. Pretty good. So both of these have some utility if you do end up in the active spot with them, so they're not completely useless. And then Gardevoir EX, of course, the Psychic Embrace. This is probably the most broken card, or allows the most broken strategy as of right now. Psychic Embrace, as often as you like, you may attach a basic Psychic Energy from your discard pile to one of your Psychic Pokemon. If you attach an energy in this way, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. You can't use this ability on a Pokemon that would be knocked out. So you can't use it as a self-destruct, but you can use it to power up your Drifloon, your Screamtail, and of course just move that damage over to your opponent with the Munkidori. Another thing this deck has is the Frillish. It's just a 1, so you're literally just here to kind of give yourself some time to set up with the Oceanic Gloom, so you item lock them for however as long as you're able to do that. And then your other boys, Mew EX for the restart and genome hacking. And then the Lily's Clefairy EX. Weakness of each of your opponent's Dragon Pokemon in play is now Psychic. Apply weaknesses ×2. And Full Moon Rondo does more damage the more Pokemon are on each bench. So that includes yours and your opponent's. The new card, and the one this deck is named after, is the Mega Gardevoir EX. So what's cool about Mega Pokemon in this expansion is that the rule is not you have to, like, I wouldn't need Gardevoir and then Gardevoir Mega evolves, back when the last time they did it, essentially Mega evolving ended your turn. So it made the game a lot slower. Whereas here, it evolves directly from the stage 2, it doesn't end your turn, and it's got even more health than the non-Mega version, and both of its attacks only cost 1 energy. Overflowing Wishes for each of your bench Pokemon. Search your deck for a basic Psychic Energy card and attach it to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. But the main thing here is the Mega Sinfonia. This attack does 50 damage for each Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So you can use the Psychic Embrace from the non-Mega, load up your Pokemon, and then Mega Symphonia to hit really hard. So the standard Gardevoir is not a big hitter. It's definitely more used about like spreading damage around and being strategic with that damage. But now with the Mega Gardevoir, you do have someone who can one-shot basically anything as long as you've got enough energy attached to your dudes. The trainers are mostly pretty familiar. The Hero's Cape is the tool being used here because, like I mentioned, if you attach this to Drifloon, now he's got 170 HP and you can attach as much damage as you need to get the one-shots against even Mega Pokemon, which is insane with the little balloon boy, but he does the trick. You've also got one Bravery Charm, accomplishes the same, but just adds 50 HP instead of 100. New cards in here, really there's only a couple of new ones. So you've got max copies of the Lily's Determination. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. If you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, draw 8 cards instead. And we have the Mystery Garden. Once during each player's turn, that player may discard an energy card from their hand in order to draw cards until they have as many cards in their hand as they have psychic Pokemon in play. Alright, so it doesn't have to be a psychic energy, but you do only get to draw as many cards to match the number of psychic Pokemon you have in play. So it's some very specific wording in there. We'll have to see exactly how it ends up working, but that just gives you another way to discard your energies. Because I know with Gardevoir beforehand, if you didn't have like a Earthen Vessel or a Ultra Ball in your hand, you might end up with some energies in your hand instead of being able to use them with Psychic Embrace, etc. So this will help you do that. Rest of the trainers are pretty standard. We do have 3 copies of Rare Candy here because we want the regular Gardevoir and the Mega Gardevoir since they are synergistic. They work together in tandem. And then for energies, 8 Psychic, 2 Dark, and 1 Luminous. So we only have 2 copies of the Monkey Dory. So that Luminous energy can be used as any type. And we've got the 2 Darkness energies as well. So that is the full 60. So just like we did with the Mega Lucario series, I'm going to do 10 battles with this one basically as is. The only thing I'll swap out maybe is the different art versions. But then after 10, I'll get the Mega Gardevoir ETB, and we'll see if there are any other kinds of changes in terms of deck list that I'll implement at that point to do another 10 battles. So we'll do a total of 20 with the Mega Gardevoir, and yeah, let's see what it can do.